The letter slipped from between my fingers, landing on the polished oak of the lawyer's desk as the words swam before my eyes. You are not adopted. 4 words that shattered 21 years of lies. My vision tunneled on those words as my heartbeat thundered in my ears, drowning out the gentle whir of the office air conditioning. Heat crawled up my neck while ice formed in my stomach. Ms. Yardley? The lawyer's voice seemed to come from miles away. Do you need a moment? I couldn't speak. The private investigator's photos spread across the desk told the story my family had hidden from me. Me walking to my night shifts, eating ramen in my cramped apartment, counting coins for bus fare, all while my father and stepmother drove new vehicles, renovated their home, and bought boats with money they expected to inherit. Money that was now mine. The inheritance wasn't just the $2 million. It wasn't just the house. It was the truth. Devastating and liberating all at once. My name is Olivia. I'm 21, and I work at an auto parts store. This is the story of how I reclaimed both my identity and my birthright. For as long as I could remember, I'd been the family outsider. My father, David, and stepmother, Rachel, told me I was adopted when I was 7, in the casual way you might mention the weather. That's why you don't look like us, Rachel had explained, not quite meeting my eyes. We took you in because it was the right thing to do. It explained so much. Why my brother and sister got birthday parties while I got practical gifts like socks. Why family vacations sometimes happened while I stayed with friends. Why the family photos on the mantle rarely included me. I was the charity case, the good deed, the burden they reminded me they were carrying whenever I asked for anything. I learned to expect nothing. When Logan got a car at 16, I got bus passes. When Vanessa had her college tuition paid in full, I worked nights to afford community college classes. Figure it out, became my father's mantra whenever I needed help. That's what adults do. So I did. I figured out how to survive on minimum wage. I figured out how to pass classes despite exhaustion. I figured out how to silence the voice that wondered what I'd done to deserve a family that merely tolerated me. I never figured out why my grandmother Eleanor wasn't allowed to see me. She's not really your grandmother, Rachel would say whenever Eleanor called. She doesn't need to be bothered with you. The last time I saw Eleanor, I was 15. She'd hugged me fiercely at a family gathering, slipping me an envelope before Rachel pulled me away. Never forget you're loved, she'd whispered. Rachel confiscated the envelope before I could open it. Probably just trying to buy your affection, she'd said dismissively. Now, 6 years later, I understood everything. The lawyer, Margaret Peller, handed me another document. Your grandmother documented every attempt she made to contact you, she explained. Every call your stepmother blocked, every visit your father canceled, every gift returned unopened. I scanned the pages, each rejection like a knife. Why would they do this? Margaret adjusted her glasses. According to your grandmother, your stepmother wanted your father to give you up for adoption when they married. She wanted to erase Jennifer, your biological mother, completely. My real mother's name hit me like a physical blow. Jennifer. I'd never been told her name. Eleanor threatened legal action to prevent them from giving you up, Margaret continued. She fought for you, but once you were in their custody, they could control access. They used that power to systematically cut her out of your life. And my mother? What happened to her? Car accident when you were 2. Your father remarried Rachel 6 months later. The timeline landed like a revelation. I wasn't the unwanted adopted child. I was the unwanted reminder of my father's first marriage. There's something else, Margaret said, sliding another folder across the desk. Your grandmother was quite strategic. She deliberately led your family to believe they would inherit everything. I opened the folder to find loan documents, credit card statements, and purchase receipts. My father's $65,000 truck. Rachel's $40,000 kitchen renovation. Logan's boat. Vanessa's car. They've spent approximately $200,000 anticipating an inheritance that isn't coming, Margaret said, a hint of satisfaction in her voice. Your grandmother's exact words were, "Let them dig their own graves." I stared at the evidence of their greed. What exactly did they inherit? Your siblings received $5,000 each. Your father and Rachel received nothing. The implications sank in slowly. My family was in financial free fall, and they didn't even know it yet. Your grandmother had one final request, Margaret said. She wanted me present when you informed them about the inheritance. She wanted a witness to their reaction. How did you find me? I asked, suddenly realizing I'd never contacted a lawyer about Eleanor's will. Margaret smiled gently. Your grandmother maintained your current address through the years. She received updates from the community college you attended and had her private investigator confirm your apartment location. When she passed away 3 weeks ago, I was instructed to contact you immediately. 24 hours later, I was standing on my family's porch, Margaret beside me, a $2.1 million check in my pocket. The familiar knot of anxiety formed in my stomach as Rachel opened the door, her smile faltering when she saw me. Olivia? What are you doing here? Her eyes darted to Margaret, confusion evident. We need to talk about Grandmother Eleanor's will, I said. Her expression shifted instantly, calculation replacing confusion. Of course. Come in. The house had been renovated since I'd last visited. New furniture, expensive art, a kitchen straight from a magazine. My father sat watching TV while Logan and Vanessa lounged nearby, scrolling through their phones. All the comforts that had never been extended to me. David, Rachel called. Olivia's here about Eleanor's will. My father looked up, his expression freezing when he noticed Margaret. Who's this? Margaret Peller, she said, extending her hand. I was Eleanor Yardley's attorney. The effect was immediate. Logan put down his phone. Vanessa looked up from Instagram. Rachel smoothed her hair nervously. Well, my father said with a forced smile, I guess it's time to sort out Mom's affairs. Actually, Margaret replied coolly, I'm here for Olivia. The silence was absolute. I don't understand, Rachel said slowly. Margaret opened her briefcase. I'm here to witness Olivia's notification of her inheritance. Her inheritance? My father's voice cracked. There must be some mistake. She's adopted, Rachel interjected quickly. Eleanor wasn't her real grandmother. She had no obligation to leave her anything. Margaret turned to me. Olivia, would you like to tell them what you learned yesterday? Or shall I? I rose to my feet, pulling out Eleanor's letter. The moment felt surreal, years of suppressed anger and hurt, crystallizing into perfect clarity. I learned that I'm not adopted, I said, my voice steadier than I expected. I learned that Jennifer Yardley was my mother, and she died when I was 2. I learned that Rachel convinced my father to give me up for adoption, and the only reason they didn't was because Grandmother Eleanor threatened to fight for custody. Rachel's face drained of color. Logan and Vanessa exchanged confused glances. That's not true, Rachel stammered. That's impossible. I also learned, I continued, that Grandmother Eleanor left me her entire estate, the house, the investments, and $2.1 million in cash. The silence that followed seemed to have physical weight. That can't be right, my father finally said, his voice hollow. She promised us. She said the estate would be divided equally. She lied, I replied simply, just like you lied to me for 21 years. Vanessa found her voice first. Wait, what about us? What do we get? Margaret consulted her papers. You and Logan each received $5,000. 5,000? Logan exploded. That's it? What about the house? What about all her money? It all goes to Olivia, Margaret stated calmly. Rachel stood abruptly. This is ridiculous. We'll contest the will. Olivia has no right to any of this money. We're the ones who took care of Eleanor, who visited her, who helped her when she was sick. Actually, Margaret countered, Mrs. Yardley documented extensively that you prevented Olivia from visiting her. She also documented that your visits usually involved asking for money. Rachel's mouth opened and closed wordlessly. You can contest the will if you like, Margaret continued, but I should warn you that Mrs. Yardley anticipated that possibility. The will is ironclad, witnessed by multiple parties, and she was evaluated by 2 separate psychiatrists who confirmed her mental competency. A contest would be expensive and futile. My father slumped in his chair, defeat etched in every line of his face. Olivia, you have to understand, we never meant for things to go this way. Didn't you? I asked. Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you got exactly what you wanted. You got rid of the inconvenient reminder of your first wife. You got to play happy family with your new kids. The only thing you didn't count on was grandmother Eleanor seeing through your act. We raised you, Rachel said desperately. We fed you, clothed you, gave you a roof over your head. Doesn't that count for something? You did the bare minimum required by law, I replied, and you made sure I knew every single day that I was unwanted. I looked around at the people who had shaped my childhood, who had made me feel worthless, who had convinced me I was lucky they tolerated my existence. The truck, I said to my father, the kitchen renovation, Logan's boat, Vanessa's car. How much did you spend thinking you'd inherit grandmother's money? My father couldn't meet my eyes. About $200,000, Rachel whispered. Well, I said, standing, I guess you'll figure it out. You're good at telling people to figure things out. Margaret and I headed toward the door, but Vanessa's voice stopped us. Olivia, wait. You're not really going to take everything, are you? I mean, we're still family. I turned back to look at her. Sweet Vanessa, who had never once stood up for me when Rachel was tearing me down. Family, I repeated. You mean like how you included me in family photos? Oh, wait, you didn't. Or like how you invited me to family vacations. Oh, wait, you didn't do that either. Or maybe you mean like how you stood up for me when Rachel told everyone I was adopted. No, you didn't do that either. Huff. But the money could help all of us, Logan interjected. You could share it. We could all benefit. The money is helping all of us, I replied. It's helping me because I'm the one grandmother Eleanor wanted to help. You want money? Get jobs, take out loans, figure it out. As we reached the door, Rachel called out one last time. Olivia, please. We made mistakes, but we're still your parents. Doesn't that mean anything? I paused with my hand on the doorknob. David is my father, I said quietly. Jennifer was my mother. You're just the woman who married my dad and spent 21 years making me wish I'd never been born. We left them in their expensive living room, surrounded by all the things they'd bought with money they never actually had, facing the reality that their lies had finally caught up with them. 6 months later, I moved into grandmother Eleanor's house, just 30 minutes from my old apartment. It's beautiful. 4 bedrooms, a huge kitchen, a garden she maintained herself until the end. I found photos I'd never seen before. Pictures of me as a baby with my real mother, family gatherings where I looked happy and loved, evidence of the life I might have had if Jennifer had lived. I also found more letters from grandmother Eleanor, written but never sent, documenting years of trying to maintain contact with me, birthday cards she bought but wasn't allowed to give me, Christmas presents that were returned unopened. I finished my degree in business administration with a focus on finance. With my grandmother's money properly invested, I don't have to work, but I do anyway. I started a nonprofit organization that helps kids who age out of foster care, kids who know what it's like to feel unwanted and alone. My father has called me exactly once since that day. He asked if I would consider helping them avoid foreclosure on their house. I told him to contact my lawyer if he wanted to discuss anything financial. The call ended with him apologizing for the first time in my life, but I made it clear that while I acknowledged his apology, our relationship was permanently damaged beyond repair. Rachel sends me Christmas cards every year with notes about family forgiveness and moving forward. I throw them away unopened. She and my father are still married, though I heard through mutual acquaintances that they nearly divorced over the financial stress that followed the will's revelation. Logan lost the boat, couldn't make the payments without the inheritance he was counting on. Vanessa had to get a job to help her parents pay their bills. They learned what I've always known, that money doesn't just appear because you want it to, and that actions have consequences. But the best part isn't the money. As life-changing as it's been, the best part is the truth. For the first time in my life, I know who I really am. I know that I was loved unconditionally by at least one person. I know that my real mother didn't abandon me. She was taken from me. I know that the feeling of never quite belonging wasn't my fault. Sometimes I sit in Grandmother Eleanor's garden, reading her letters and looking through old photo albums, and I feel her presence. I feel the love she wasn't allowed to give me while she was alive, the relationship we were cheated out of by my father's cowardice and Rachel's cruelty. I wish I could thank her in person. I wish I could tell her that her final gift wasn't just the money. It was the truth. And the truth, it turns out, is worth more than $2 million. Though the $2 million doesn't hurt either. Before you go, here's a quick bonus for sticking around. If you love learning and growing like I do, you need to try audiobooks. I've got an exclusive deal with Audible. Your first month is completely free. That's access to over 500,000 titles, zero cost to you. All the details are waiting in the description. Don't miss this one.